In this video, I'll answer all the most commonly asked questions about selling physical products online and running your own e-commerce store, including the questions that most people won't give you a straight answer on. There are a lot of e-commerce scams and get-rich-quick schemes out there, and I will give you the real story behind everything. What's up everyone, my name is Steve Chu and I've been selling physical products online for the last 16 years over at bumblebeelinens.com, which is a 7-figure online store. I've also been selling on Amazon since 2014, and I've run an annual e-commerce conference called the Seller Summit for the past 8 years. Now, as I mentioned earlier, e-commerce has developed a reputation for being a get-rich-quick scheme because of all the scammy videos about dropshipping that you see online. So my goal today is to give you the facts straight up and provide you with a realistic view of what it takes to succeed selling online today. So first off, you have to choose the right business model, and you basically have 3 choices. 1, you can dropship. This is where you make an arrangement with the supplier so that you don't have to store inventory or ship out any products yourself. You simply take orders and the supplier fulfills them for you. 2, you can sell other people's products and carry your own inventory and handle your own shipping and fulfillment. And 3, you can sell your own branded private label products. Now let's talk about dropshipping first, because that's the business model that everyone wants to start out with because it's cheap and easy. Well, I hate to tell you this, but dropshipping is the worst business model out of the 3 because the margins suck. Typical dropshipping margins are around 10 to 30%. And because you are selling someone else's product, there are probably hundreds, if not thousands of other people selling the exact same thing, which always leads to price erosion. Also, because your margins suck, you can't really afford to run paid advertising profitably. The people you see online who are making money dropshipping have either developed a large audience on social media or they are hawking cheap trinkets from China for a quick buck. Now don't get me wrong, you can make money dropshipping, but it's not the best long-term business model because you don't have any control. You don't control the customer experience or the product, the margins are horrible, and usually it is a race to the bottom in terms of price. Let's talk about selling other people's products with inventory next. This is the traditional business model that most of you are all familiar with. You find a product from a brand that you like and you sell it in your online store. Now this model is better than dropshipping because you can get better pricing from the manufacturer. And typically, your margins are around 50%, which allows you to have more flexibility with advertising and traffic generation. Now, if you don't want to deal with inventory yourself, you can find a 3PL or a third-party logistics firm to handle storage and fulfillment for you, which makes this business model kind of like dropshipping. But overall, it costs more money to start an inventory-based business because you have to purchase your initial products to sell outright. Also, because you're selling other people's products, you will probably be competing against other sellers based on price as well. Now, the final e-commerce business model is selling your own private label products, and it's, in my opinion, the best and only way to go if you want to run a long-term e-commerce business. I've been running bumblebeelinens.com for 16 years now. We own our own brand and we control a good portion of our entire supply chain. And because we've established a brand over the years, it's much harder to compete with us based on price because no one else sells the exact same products that we do. Our margins are upward of 90% plus, and we have full autonomy to create our own packaging, set our own prices, everything. So if you plan on starting your own e-commerce business, you should work your way up to private label if you want to survive in the long run. Now it's important to note that these 3 business models are not mutually exclusive. You can actually do all 3 at once. If you are strapped for cash, start out dropshipping and then carry inventory for your best sellers. And if there's a product that's killing it, you can consider making your own private label version of that product under your own brand. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you sign up for my free 6-day e-commerce mini course below. Let's talk about startup costs next. How much money do you need to start each of these business models? Well, for dropshipping, you can literally start for $3 a month by following this tutorial here. As I mentioned earlier, dropshipping is by far the cheapest and easiest way to get started, which is why it's the source of most internet scams. Now, if you want to sell other people's products and don't mind carrying inventory, the cost to get started is typically a couple $100s per product for inventory. You will likely be sourcing from wholesalers in your country, and the minimums are usually between $100 to $200 per product. And finally, if you want to create your own private label products, your minimum startup cost will be around $3,000. Remember, every business model has its own risk-reward ratio. The more you are willing to spend, the more money that you will make. And in general, the students in my class who do private label make significant money way faster than the other business models. Which is a great segue to one of the most commonly asked questions that I get. How long does it take to make money with an online store or e-commerce business? And the true answer is that it depends on many factors. And what I always tell everyone who joins my class is that you should set your expectations for at least 1 year. Do not listen to the get-rich-quick scammers out there who tell you it can be done in a couple weeks or a couple months, because you will be disappointed and give up. The speed at which you can make significant money also depends on your business model, and private label is the fastest way to make money. For example, my student Amanda, who dropships dollhouse furniture, took several years to make a 6-figure income. Contrast that to my student JK, who sells his own private label home goods, who made well over 6 figures after about 1 year. As I mentioned earlier, the more money you are willing to risk, the faster your returns will be, and private label is the fastest way to go. Now, this next question I'm often asked is, does e-commerce require a seller's permit and business license? Well, in the United States, you absolutely need a seller's permit in order to legally sell online. And most states require you to charge sales tax to customers where you have an economic nexus, even if you are dropshipping. And if your locality requires a business license, then you must buy a business license as well. Remember, e-commerce is simply a method of order fulfillment. Your e-commerce business is a real business and must be registered as such. Now, can this business model be automated? And do I ever have to touch inventory? Well, e-commerce can be more or less automated except for customer service. If you don't want to handle inventory or ship your own orders, you can find a 3PL or a third-party logistics firm. A 3PL is essentially a fulfillment center that will store and ship orders on your behalf. For example, Amazon FBA is probably one of the largest 3PLs in the world. Now, even if you sell your own private label products, you can have your products shipped directly from the factory to Amazon or your 3PL for fulfillment without ever having to touch anything. Now, where can you find suppliers for your online store? The best place to find suppliers for your e-commerce business depends on your business model. If you're looking to start out dropshipping, there are 4 main ways to find dropshipping suppliers depending on your budget and the types of products that you want to sell. First, you can use a dropship supplier directory. A dropship directory is a quick and easy way to access a library of suppliers organized by category, and by paying a fee, you can perform a search and instantly have access to hundreds of pre-vetted suppliers. You can also use a dropshipping company. A dropship company acts as a middleman who automatically connects you to a dropship supplier. You simply list the products that the dropship company offers, and they handle the entire fulfillment process. As a result, you do not have to find or interact with any suppliers. Next, you can go to a trade show. By attending local wholesale trade shows, you can form dropshipping arrangements face-to-face. And finally, you can use a print-on-demand company. Print-on-demand companies allow you to print your own designs on select merchandise to sell online without any upfront cost. Now, in my experience, the easiest way to find dropship wholesalers is by using Google, a directory like Worldwide Brands, or by attending wholesale trade shows. Now, many wholesalers are reluctant to dropship for your store unless they know you can move product. If there's a brand who refuses to dropship for you at first, you should purchase and sell their products wholesale to start. And then, once you've demonstrated a track record of sales, you can request a dropshipping arrangement. Now, if you want to sell other people's products and carry your own inventory, you can use these exact same methods to find wholesale suppliers as well. Most suppliers who dropship will give you a discount if you want to purchase their products outright and manage your own inventory. Now, if you want to sell your own private label products, you have to find a factory or a manufacturer. And the easiest place to start to find a factory to create your own branded products is to use a service like Alibaba. Alibaba is a search engine for suppliers in Asia who will make custom products to your exact specifications and place your brand on that product. Now, I have a number of videos on how to source products from Alibaba from my channel that you can watch. But keep in mind that you do not need to be a product designer or an inventor to create your own private label products. Most of my students send in pictures of what they want to create to the manufacturer and iterate from there. You absolutely do not require product design experience to do this. However, the main thing to keep in mind is that you are responsible for your own quality control. So make sure that you hire an inspection service like Kima to inspect the goods at the factory before you have them shipped to you. Otherwise, you could be sent a bunch of defective goods. Now, if you want to make private label sourcing infinitely easier, you can also hire a sourcing agent to find a factory for you. Now, for more information on sourcing agents, watch this video here. A sourcing agent will typically charge you based on a percentage of your cost of goods or bill you hourly, but it is 100% worth it, especially if you want to save time. Now, how do you pay your suppliers? For most dropshipping and wholesale suppliers, you can typically pay by credit card, ACH or direct transfer, or payment terms. Some suppliers will offer you payment terms, which means that you do not have to pay for your products until 30 or 60 days later. Now, if you're creating your own private label products, payments are typically made by wire transfer only. You typically put 30% down to start production and then pay the remaining balance upon completion. Now, if you find your private label manufacturer through Alibaba, you can also opt to pay by trade assurance, which is Alibaba's escrow service. Basically, Alibaba will hold off paying your supplier until you receive your goods to prevent fraud. Now, where can you find profitable products to sell online? More than half the battle of starting a successful e-commerce business involves finding the right products to sell. And the best way to find profitable products to sell online is to leverage sales data from Amazon. Because Amazon owns over 50% of e-commerce, you can get an accurate view of the supply and demand for practically any product sold online. To perform product research on Amazon, I recommend a tool called Jungle Scout. Jungle Scout is a software tool that tells you how much revenue a product listing is generating on Amazon for the last 30 days. All sales information is collated for you in a nice table for your review. Here's a video I put together that gives you a quick demonstration. Now, the million-dollar question is e-commerce a good business model for 2024? And I can say without a doubt that e-commerce is here to stay and will continue to gain market share over brick and mortar stores. Now, a better question to ask yourself is whether you should start out dropshipping or start your own private label brand. Now, if you are on a budget, start out with dropshipping. Find out what sells and then invest in your own private label product, because private label is the best way to go if you want to start a long-term business. By being in control of the product design and the entire supply chain, you can future-proof your business and command the highest profits. Now that you know the real truth about running an e-commerce business, watch this video here for my list of the best private label suppliers.